Mario Merlino. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for Veterinary Pest Control and contract with ACC. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the status of the capital projects. That's the animal shelters in New York City. So I'm here kind of to give a sense of forward motion on these. There has been actually a lot of progress in the last year, and folks have worked very hard, and particularly staff of ACC, the board. These are the main agencies involved in this. So we have animal care and control, of course, but and we'll see these on the subsequent slides. DCAS manages facilities in New York City. DOH, everyone knows, Department of Health. DDC manages our capital projects. They kind of are the construction arm of the city of New York. You have OMB, which manages the money for the city. And then you have CAU, which is, I'm going to refer to them after this as City Hall. They are essentially City Hall. City Hall is very active in this process, and you're going to see timelines, and you're going to be concerned about how long everything's taking, and you should know that City Hall is very active in trying to compress as much as possible all the timelines. So you're going to see very conservative estimates of how long everything's taking, because we don't want to overpromise, right? We want to be conservative and then deliver everything faster if we can, but I want to assure you that City Hall is working very hard behind the scenes with all of these agencies to try to speed it along. So these are the capital projects that we're talking about. Staten Island, Brooklyn is a renovation that's focusing on the HVAC system, but actually is looking at a shelter-wide renovation more, and we're trying to determine how big in scope that renovation is going to be. Staten Island is a complete renovation of the whole shelter. Manhattan, we're building a new adoption facility where the current garage is. There's a garage that's sort of unused at the Manhattan shelter. And then two new brand new shelters, full service shelters in Bronx and Queens. Okay, so this is an artist rendering of what the Staten Island shelter will look like for the people that haven't seen it, and it's not a great, it's like a low-res picture, but those are translucent walls. They're made out of acrylic material. They'll allow natural light. That's a cat area that you'll be able to see when you walk by it. This is the construction timeline that we've been sort of engaged in so far. Construction started in the summer of 2015. When I was here last spring, you saw December of 2015 we had the plumbing roughed out, and we had a slab. That's where we were last December. All of 2016 has gone by. We had a delay. We had a delay with the vendor, or the contract. They're not vendors when they do construction work. They're contractors. We had a delay with the contractor for part of 2016. Work has resumed, but there was a delay in terms of building Staten Island. So currently, the expected completion date for phase 1 and move-in is July of this year, 2017, right? So that's the phase 1 is going to be the current people in the current shelter, which is in operation in Staten Island. They're going to the new shelter is being built in the parking lot. They're going to move into the new shelter. That's phase 1, July 2017. Then phase 2. Which will be completed in April 2018, is demolishing the old shelter, and then we're going to have a parking lot. Right, so that will be the completion of the entire project. And just to show you some pictures of the construction, if you don't know, so this is the exterior steel. That's the cat area that you saw in the picture in the front, the feline area on the right hand side. Okay, so this is the timeline for Manhattan, and just to say a word about what's been going on and explain a little bit what we've done, what we've engaged in. I'm going to try to explain this once and not take up too much time. I know everybody wants to ask questions. What we've engaged in is hiring designers and starting preliminary design. So preliminary design, what that is you bring in designers and you talk about what the concepts are, what types of services, you do scope, and you determine, sort of the scope of the project and, the starting point for your final design. So if you think about if you're building a house from scratch, the first thing you have to tell the architect, right, is, do you want a ranch house or do you want a 2-story colonial? You have to figure those things out first. They might show you some pictures, they might do some drawings, show you that, and then you make a decision. They might show you some options, and then you figure out where you want to go from there when they do final design. So that's what we've been doing. So if you look here at the Manhattan Adoption Center, we did an RFP for the designer in February 2016. AC&C really has been doing most of the work. We've been in meetings with them, and the architect that was hired, which I have at the bottom, says Studio Joseph and Animal Arts, was hired, and contract in place for design work, meetings, right, and then preliminary options anticipated March 2017, where they will present those initial, all right, here's your options for how this thing's going to look, some pictures, type of thing, all right? Then the rest of the project is, going to take all of those months, a year for design work, which includes getting the approvals from the city, etc. We have to bid construction and do construction, which takes anywhere from 3 to 4 years. I think this is something like 2023, 2022. And again, I'll say one more time, the mayor's office, will be involved as we get closer to that end of it, the design, when we have to get, engage the city in approvals, when we have to do bidding and we have to do construction, those might be compressed, maybe, and we'll get help on that, but, those are conservative. And I do want to show you the conservative, typical time frames. 2020. 2020, 2023. Well, we'll see. Okay. All right. So, in this case, this is for the Brooklyn Shelter renovation. Okay. And again, we started out here with a plan to replace the HVAC system in the roof in Brooklyn. We are looking, at potentially a wider renovation in Brooklyn. Brooklyn was a factory that was built in the 50s, I think. It's at least 50-year-old building, converted to an animal shelter by the ASPCA. The HVAC system's a lot newer, was built in the 90s, but needs to be replaced. So RFP issued in 2015, consultants selected. We have the consultants starting work in July. And in this case, we got our preliminary options this last month before last, or last month, I guess, we're still in January, for designs on this. So the next step, you have to make some decisions in terms of, what we're going to do with the designs, options that were presented to us, decisions, and then we go to the rest of the plan, which is design, bidding, and I think this is something like 2022, 21, 22, something like that. Okay, now, Bronx and Queens is in this case, There's a consultant, two consultants, Hatchmont McDonald and Shelter Plans of America were hired. They started work, and I guess in early on in 2016. So I have February 2016 vendor kickoff meeting. So there was a preliminary scoping document over the summer, and the next step is additional scoping documents, one each for Bronx and Queens, due in March and Queens in June. It's hard to see at the bottom. So that's the next step. The thing about this chart, though, unlike the other charts, see where it says zoning, identify sites, and then at the bottom there it says currently in progress. What's important to understand, the most important thing, the big task here is finding sites. So the finding sites has started already. We've been looking for sites since the mayor signed off on this plan to do this. City Hall is very much behind building these shelters. They very much want to build the shelters. They're very behind it. There's been an intensive search for sites. There's been weekly meetings on finding sites. If anyone here has sites or knows of sites, they can tell us about the sites and we'll look at them. So the looking for the sites is in progress. We actually have some very good, I would say, prospects for sites, and we just can't announce them at this point because they're prospects. But you know, so that's a part that's in flux, and then the rest of it is the same construction schedule. I think for the other, 4 years once we get the site purchased or we find the site.
So once the sites are in, it's like 4 years.
Right. Yeah.
Is there anything, I think the answer is no, but is there anything that ACC can do as an organization or that we can do as a board to move these deadlines faster, or is that not really the organization's hands?
I think, we have received a lot of prodding from the board already. Patrick has quite a bit, sent us routine emails. I think prodding, does work. I think I think we'll know more. We talk about this all the time. We're actually on schedule in terms of the contracting. The good news, if you call that, the contracting for putting all these contracts together, the vendors and the architects, all that happened per schedule. So we might be able to do some of the other things faster.
You will let us know if there's anything that we can do in ACC.
I have a question. Is there anything that the rest of the community can do, public, all the people who are so really desirous of having this? Is there anything they can do from now to ACC?
The rest of the community, everybody's been very engaged. I mean, there's a group called BASE that we met with in the Bronx that wanted to talk to us about sites. If anybody wants to meet with us and suggest sites and that sort of thing, I think we're open to talk to people about that.
I'll just add that I hear a lot from the community and share those emails with the city government, and I know that there's a lot of eagerness in City Hall. Health Commissioner Dr. Bassett has also showed a lot of interest and offered to help out in terms of urging. So it's, as Mario showed you in that first slide, there's so many different parts of the pieces here and so many different departments in the city that there's a lot of work that has to be done. And again, as he was saying, he's showing us sort of almost the worst case scenario, but I think the likelihood of us delivering ahead of schedule is high, and the more we keep the pressure on, the more that's likely, because it is, a lot of it does depend on political will.
Maybe we could create a best case scenario and think through what, maybe we could, rather than, I appreciate looking at the worst case scenario, but maybe we could create a best case scenario and look at what those gating factors are in order to hit that, so that we can all hold ourselves accountable to trying to target ourselves to a completely different timeline. Understanding, what friction points exist, but I think that then we'll know if we need approval within X amount of days in order to hit that base case scenario, then we're galvanized to do that.
Yeah.
So maybe we can flip it
That's good.
and take a more, a different viewpoint.
Yeah.
And really always
Suggestions for more pressure? Thank you. Anna. Okay, so one final announcement. So the Queens Admission Center in Regal Park, the health department is looking to lease a new site, which will be not far away in Middle Village. It is bigger. I think it's in a more, I think, a better location just because it's not the Regal Park is a fine site, but it's a sub basement location. So, but it also will be nice because we'll outfit. It'll be brand new equipment. It'll be a renovate space. I don't have a time frame. I think it'll be a while. It'll be 6 months. We don't have the lease yet. More than 6 months, maybe more. But it's my final announcement. Okay.